I'm born in Selbridge, County Kildare. Great town to be born in, and grew up there. Had good, made some nice friends there and stuff. And when I left school, I got my jockey license out in Ireland. But I always say now, I use it as a part-time job. I didn't really take it seriously. So I got some nice chances with Charles O'Brien and other trainers. Eddie Lynham was another lad that gave me plenty of opportunities. But again, it was a part-time job to me. It should have been a full-time job, and I didn't take it serious enough, so it never worked out. And I came over to England in 2015, mid-2015, and again, I was riding for some good people, but I wasn't taking it serious. So really, up until last year was my proper year. When I started to take life seriously and started to take my career seriously. This year and last year are probably my only 2 proper years racing. So. And I only count them as my two proper years racing. So, and it's been going really well since.
Yeah. Did you always want to be a jockey? Was that growing up? Is that always what you wanted to be?
Yeah. No, I wanted to be a rugby player. Would you believe? I was quite small, but I really enjoyed rugby, and I was passionate about rugby for a long time. And then I came to a crossroads at a certain age where I had to decide, and it wasn't an easy decision, but it was. Thankfully, eventually the right decision, I suppose, after many years, but it was definitely the right decision.
Yeah. What's it like leaving Ireland at such a young age and coming to a different country, a different culture? Was that hard to deal with, would you say?
Yeah, definitely. I thought it was going to be a bit easier. I thought I was going to find life easy, but I found it quite difficult. So I wanted to go home a few times, but it wouldn't have been the right decision to go back to Ireland, so I stuck it out in England. But it was quite difficult. I made it difficult though. I made it difficult for myself. So, it wasn't an easy decision, but it was worth it in the end.
Yeah, you said you made life difficult. In what way did you just find it difficult to deal with, and how did you deal with it? Did you turn to drugs and alcohol?
Yeah, mainly alcohol and drugs followed. But that's how I dealt with everything. So when I came over to England, I thought, I'll change, but I didn't change at all. All I did was change my location. I didn't change anything about myself, so I just found myself kind of in the same places, hanging around the same sort of people, doing the same things, bouncing from job to job, trying to gather my life together, but having no real plan in doing it. I'd say to myself and say to many other people that I'm going to do it differently next time, but I didn't actually change anything. So if you don't change anything, nothing changes, and that's the way my life was when I came over here. It was the exact same as where I was in Ireland, just as I said, just a different location. So it was quite difficult.
Yeah, and did you have any dark moments during that time?
Yeah, a lot of dark moments. I probably had a lot more dark moments than bright moments, that's for sure. Life was a struggle, but again, it was my own decision. It was my choices that put me in them places. So, obviously physically and mentally, it's very tough to deal with. But when you're in them situations, and the only way you know how to deal with life is by drinking and using drugs, that's what I did. So as life got harder, I used drink and drugs more to deal with it, and eventually they stopped working, and then you're in a real dark place, when the pain isn't being taken away, you're left in quite a bad situation. So yeah.
How low did it get? I mean, was it a case of you had nowhere to live, or?
I always had somewhere to live. I always managed to have somewhere to live. I always managed just about pay my rent, and obviously when you work in racing yards as well, you get accommodation sometimes and stuff. So it's quite lucky like that. But it was a struggle. It was come Monday or Tuesday, I wouldn't have had very much money left for food or anything like that. But it was a struggle. But I was never left without anywhere to sleep.
And did you ever feel suicidal or anything like that?
Yeah, of course. Yeah. It's probably something that was in my head for a long time. Naturally enough, as I said, when you're living that sort of life, and you're not doing anything to better your life or to better your mental health, and you're using substances to deal with that, it's going to come onto your mind. And unfortunately, there's a lot of people that make that decision and go through with it. I'm very lucky that I didn't go through with it, for whatever reason. So yeah, I'm quite lucky to be here.
What was it about the drinking drugs? Was it a case of it numbed the pain and stopped you thinking about all these problems, and you just kind of felt, I don't know, at ease because you know that could take the pain away and you could get on with life?
That's exactly what it was. It was a painkiller. it was a painkiller that probably started off as an enjoyment, you know, and it got darker and darker to the point where I needed it to talk to people. I needed it to feel normal. I needed it to take me away from how I was feeling, because I couldn't deal with my emotions. You know, that was the main, you know, the number one thing, is I couldn't deal with my emotions, and I never did deal with them. So I used alcohol and drugs as a painkiller to deal with how I was feeling, and it only just gets worse and worse. It doesn't go anywhere good. You know, there's no way out. So yeah, so that was it. It was a painkiller.
Yeah, definitely. And like, your jockey career was obviously a bit up and down at that point as well, wasn't it? We find it hard to hold down a job, and do you kind of look back at that period and think, wow, I should have grown up a little bit?
Yeah, it's impossible. Sure, employers give me lots of chances, and you know, there's only so many chances you can get with each employer. So it's just the same sort of story. I'd start a job, and 6-7 weeks later, they'd be getting angry with me because I'd be missing Mondays and missing Fridays, and you know, and then they'd be on to the next job, on to the next job, on the next job. And I knew it was no way to be living, but it was, as I said, you know, I was being controlled at that point. You know, I didn't really have any control over my life. You know, a substance and a drink was controlling everything in my life, so I had no control.
What happened with this incident in Newmarket in, I think it was May 2019? You crashed your car. Can you just tell me a bit about that?
Yeah, I was trying to get a hold of the drink, and I was doing a lot better. You know, I wasn't drinking as much, and I was trying to get my life back together. It was a struggle. And I came back to the house here one night, and I started drinking, and I blacked out, and I woke up the next day in a police cell, and didn't really know what happened. And then obviously as time went on during the day, I was told what happened, and I can't remember any of it. It was very scary. I thought, did I kill anyone? What happened? Like, you know. And it was just a moment. I was sitting in the cell, and you know, I've been arrested before for various different things, and you know, probably wasn't the worst thing that's ever happened to me while drinking, but whatever it was about it, when I was sitting in that cell, it was just like a crossroads in my mind where if I don't change now, you know, I'm never going to change. So I'm actually grateful for that night. You know, as much as it could have been a very, very bad night, you know, no one was hurt, thank God, and you know, that's obviously very good. But it was a night that, for whatever was inside me, just said, this is enough now. You know, I've had enough. I'm just going to let go now and stop fighting it and stop trying to hide the fact that I have problems. And it was the start of my life really starting. I think, you know, it was the start of the new beginning for me.
Yeah, definitely. That's great to hear. Where did you crash? Was it into a wall? Was it? Any idea?
I was told it was into a few parked cars. Luckily enough, so there was no one in the cars. I can't really remember. It's all a blur. I don't know how I even got to Newmarket, because it's about 15 miles away from here. So
scary.
it's just, yeah, very lucky. Again, very lucky to come out of that alive.
Yeah, and like you said, is that the start of your new life? I mean, you haven't touched a drop since, have you?
No, the 4th of May 2019. So, you know, I take it one day at a time. You know, I'm involved in recovery programs, which without them I wouldn't be able to stay sober. It would be impossible, because I tried for 15 years to do it on my own, and it was impossible. You know, just ended up in tears every time. So yeah, it was definitely the start of my life, and it's been a great 2.5 years.
That's fantastic, and you deserve huge credit for that. You talk about the recovery there, but did you turn to a clinic or anything like that to get help?
Yeah, I got put onto Sport and Chance through the Professional Jockeys Association, the PGA. Paul Struthers and Dr. Jerry Hill and the BHA, members of the BHA, you know, helped me, you know, put me onto the right people. Tony Adams, you know, runs the Sport and Chance, along with many other people who were fantastic in that organisation, and they, you know, they took my hand and they pointed me in the right direction, and they suggested what was best for me, and I just listened to them. You know, for once in my life, I actually listened to someone that was trying to help me, and they've not been wrong. So they've definitely helped me and helped me live every day. You know, because it's an everyday thing. You know, I've said before in another interview, you know, I'm going to be an alcoholic for the rest of my life. You know, it's never just you don't just tick a box and you're finished, you're cured. You know, it's not like that. It's an everyday thing, and as long as I can accept that, I'll be all right. As I said, I'm always going to be an alcoholic. It's always going to be there. So, but if that day ever does come, I know that I have the tools in place now, because I've built up, a community of support around me to be able to say, ring someone that I know and say, listen, I'm feeling like drinking today, and that's the beauty of the recovery program I'm on, and is that you have that support there. You're not on your own, and it's for everyday life. I can't guarantee anything, can't guarantee anything in life, but I know I can guarantee that if I do what I did yesterday, I won't have a drink today, and then I have a chance. If I pick up a drink, there's no chance.
Absolutely. That network of support you talked about, that includes Abby, obviously, and how key has she been in getting you sober?
Massive. I don't think I would have got on the road to recovery without her, to be honest with you. I might have, but I don't know. But when I met Abby, obviously, I decided that I really needed to change, because I knew she was a great person to come into my life. I didn't want to lose her, so I really tried to change, and it was kind of the start of me wanting to make a difference going forward. And it wasn't straightforward for the first year or so, because I wasn't on a recovery program or anything like that, or I hadn't reached out to Sport and Chance or anything just yet, but there was a massive change. So I owe her a lot, and to this day she does everything. I'm busy racing every day and I'm not here a lot, so she's running the house and looking after Lila, and she just cut the grass there a minute ago, so she's non-stop. She's great.
Yeah, Lila as well. I mean, you're a dad now. Has that helped you grow up even more? Yeah,
definitely. It just brings another outlook on life. Just seeing her, you could have a good day or a bad day. She doesn't know. She doesn't know. She's just a baby. She's just innocent, and she's always happy and smiling. I come back from the races some days and you've had a bit of a rough day, and you just forget about it. You think, you might be upset with something, whatever, and you come back home and you realise it's not important. It's brought a massive different outlook on life for me, and she's great. She is. Yeah.
Let's turn the attention to your career now, because it's really taken off, hasn't it, in the last year? So just tell me a bit about what you've achieved and what you're hoping to achieve.
Yeah, obviously, as I said to you earlier on, I think last year was my first proper season. My career is so in and out, up and down. I wouldn't have counted the years before that. So last year was my first proper season, and it couldn't have really went any better last year. I rode obviously COVID and stuff kind of messed the season up, so it was a bit of a short season. So I had 33 winners, but I had some pretty nice winners in there, some big handicaps, and some nice winners for Roger Varian, Robert Cowell, TJ Kent, a lot of various trainers, Ishmael Mohammed being another one as well, who I linked up with last year. And so going into this year, I wanted to do better. So my goal was to get 50 winners, and hopefully, if we were lucky, to get a Group 3 winner, possibly maybe a listed winner. That was the goals. I didn't think Zane Claudette was going to come around. I didn't think I'd find a horse like her so quickly. But fortunately enough, she was obviously the main part of this year for me. But also, not only her, I've ridden, I think it's 54 winners now. I've had a listed winner on a filly for Roger Varian that went and won a Group 1. She's fancied in the Arc. I've sat on some really nice horses for some really good trainers and good owners, and Saeed bin Saror, I've ridden some really nice horses for him, for Godolphin. It's gone much better than I ever could have imagined. I wanted to build my career eventually to be where I am this season. I didn't think it would happen this season. I thought it would take a little bit longer. So for it to be happening so quick it's unbelievable, really, and I'm really enjoying it. And obviously we've got Zane Claudette on the weekend, which I'm really looking forward to.
How special is Zane Claudette as a horse? I mean, is this a truly special horse, do you think?
Yeah, for me and for Ishmael and the owner, Saeed H. Altair, it's very, very special. People spend millions and millions and millions trying to find a filly like this, and she was a 20 grand filly out of a mare that won a race in Poland. She was nothing spectacular. She's a bit of a freak on breeding. I think they purchased her half sister yesterday, which is great. So she'll be in the yard next year. But I think everyone gets involved in horse racing to be competing at the level that Zane Claudette is going to be competing at.
The perfect end to the story is if you ride a Group 1 winner on Saturday. I mean, that would just be incredible. How much would that mean to you?
Yeah, it'd be unbelievable. Mean the world to me. For so long I've dreamt about winning a Group 1, and I think if you're going to be a jockey, it wouldn't be normal not to, but I've fantasised about the day it might happen, and I've dreamt about it. And obviously, at one point in my life, I was a million miles away from it. I was the furthest thing away from someone who's going to win a Group 1 you could ever think of. So to be at this moment, to have a real life chance, it's really exciting. You know, look, it's a horse race and anything can happen. There's some very good horses in that race. I think it's a proper Group 1 test, and I'm just really looking forward to it. Really looking forward to it. I know that, you know, I'm on a filly that is ready, and I think is good enough to win if the race falls our way. So, bit of luck and bit of help from God and faith. Hopefully we can get the job done.